everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Beyond Talks. I'm joined by my co host, my friend Raghav. Raghav, welcome to the show.
Hi, Bhuvan. Thank you. And to all the viewers, welcome to Beyond Trends.
Raghav, usually we start with some thought provoking subjects, but today it's a little unusual. We have to talk about something which is a pressing matter across our country. This is the case about TCS Nashik, where an employee or employees were assaulted sexually, and they've also been harassed just for no fault of theirs. So probably what I've understood is it's all because they follow one religion, that is Hinduism, and that apparently seems to be a problem. I do not want to take it from a communal angle, but I'm forced to talk about it because all those incidents, whatever I've gathered from the media outlet, that is what it is pointing towards. So let me give a quick brief, then you can tell me what you're thinking about it. So this has been happening from past 4 years. This started somewhere around 2022, and it got discovered very recently. A girl went to a local police station, complained, saying that person has promised her for marriage and she's been sexually exploited. Then the police started investigating the issue. Then, once they started digging deeper, and a lot of stories emerged, and most of them were very appalling. There have been, I think, about 8 to 9 FIRs as we speak, and people are waking up. They're coming to the real world and expressing what they have gone through. Some of them are extremely distasteful. Some of them have been forced to consume meat when they are not used to it. And some women employees have been sexually assaulted, although big companies such as TCS and they do have in-house policy, they have POSH, and none of them have been adhered to. What is more disturbing is the person who is part of the POSH committee. They were also deeply involved in this. There was an HR who was involved, and she's absconded right now. Their police are looking for her at the moment. So all of that is very disturbing. Why we have to talk about this today is because this is not just a open and shut case. I'm very sure very soon people will brand this as something else and they will shove it under the rug and then move on. We don't want that to happen. We want some sort of digital footprint. So this is the information. It probably it's half baked, but people have suffered, families have suffered, and this is extremely difficult situation. And I would like to have a quick thought from your end.
Feel feel your anger also in this while you are talking. You're trying to suppress it. Yeah, it's not a small thing at all. It's not a normal crime that you hear about every day. Although we are used to quite a few. This is something different. This brings out the larger agenda. Something big is happening behind that is kind of stamped through this. But and also this is a right time to talk about it as well. It's been a week, so we have some official information, some information that as rumors as usual it floats around. Let's not discuss anything about the rumors. Let's just take what we know. Having said that, we should also start asking or rather self introspecting here, because corporations were considered to be safe from all these things, not sexual harassment per se, but safe from religious side. The caste, creed, or your identity didn't quite matter. You were tagged as a resource. You just had a number to yourself. None of the other things mattered. You were treated as a number. But in that situation, when something like this happens, then it becomes a big talking point. So what are these institutions actually gatekeeping here? So have these institutions kind of failed in what they were supposed to do? Like, because like you said, they have all these they all operate under the POSH committee. They have these grievance addressal systems. They have this compliance reporting system. They have everything in order. In spite of that, this has happened. And yeah, even you had mentioned about the complaints, the FIR. We have to stand up and applaud the police department for bringing this out. But I have another question here. The police department have been on it for quite a few days, from what we can understand. Few days, or few weeks, or few months. We don't know the exact tenure, but they have been disguised as someone else, and they have been closely monitoring the situation. Which means We don't know that whether these police have been officially a part of, like, they have officially applied through the Tata website and gotten through a job, or was it a part of the operation of the police officers? If it's the latter, which means TCS, the admins or the heads already knew about it, that something like this is happening. If not, then we need to ask if their system is really a good system to hire people, because if they had done a basic background check on these police officers, they would have known where they have come from. So we don't know that yet, but I had this doubt, so I'm just putting out this question. But now coming to the more important question about institutional failure, it's like, large organizations, they do not collapse overnight. They fail silently first, and by multiple accounts, the complaints that span over the years, and the fact that raises a question larger than an individual guilt. How does an alleged misconduct that has been running across the years survive inside one of India's largest, process heavy corporate ecosystem? We need to really introspect on these aspects.
In general, we when we started off our podcast, we've been very careful not to bring names or try not to get into some division where it could be controversial. But the very nature of the issue, what has happened, it's just making us rethink our the way we've been looking at things. Sometimes I do understand it's a institutional failure because there are a lot of checkpoints. This is about the way case has been mishandled or the way things have gone. That is towards a religious angle. So that is something is very concerning. In fact, none of them are okay. Sexual exploitation, the way you're forcing someone or making fun of their religious belief, none of them are okay. But it all has an angle towards our religion. That is more concerning. It is it's very divisive. The very fabric of India is unity and diversity. We've been living in that aspect for centuries, but now things have seemed very different. Seems beyond the usual. It seems like there is an agenda. There's no more hidden agenda. It's a clear cut agenda where you're trying to convert people, and this is concerning.
Yeah, what's concerning is the place in which it is happening. If it happens in some public places, or densely populated locations where it's dominated by one particular community, it still makes sense because we are kind of used to it to a certain level. But the location in which it happens, it's the biggest corporation of India. Yeah, it's Tata is like a brand for India at a global level. It's a huge conglomerate. Many businesses has Tata brand associated with it. And in that place, when something like this happens, I think when religion enters into the picture, the systems kind of freeze. And I don't know why. Maybe it's the incapability to adjust to the religious entries, because POSH addresses only your sexual harassment things. But when there is a communal angle to it, I don't think POSH is capable of saving the person, saving the victim in any way. And that needs to be addressed. Several FIRs and media reports have suggested that it is a clear communal angle. Religious pressure is involved. And yeah, I have read the FIRs. It's very what to say, something that we can't talk about in public as well. No, it's that kind of taking a jibe at the Hindu gods, and openly criticizing the method of worships, and food habits, for example, and forcing people to change their prayer type to go through for promotions, or etc., whatever the usual thing that happens. So yeah, I am not saying anything more about this because it has not been officially proven, although we all know what's going on. Because the court has not yet said anything, I feel it's better we don't talk more based on what we just know rather than what the court has said. So I want to go by the official data that we have. But yeah, something that we know is there was an HR who belonged to the same community, and she was kind of gatekeeper for the entire thing, and she's now absconding. This much is clear. So yeah, what were the people above her doing? Like, so then are we giving what to say ultimate authority to the HR? Is HR above the system here? Because when there is problem with your manager, you can go to the HR. But when you have a problem with the HR, who do you go to? Who does the HR report to? Do you have the mechanism to reach the person who controls the HR, or is HR the ultimate authority? Because from this case, it looks like there was nobody above the HR, and everything went there, and she kind of made sure it ended there. So again, I'm getting back to the institutional failure here. What did TCS do there? How have they structured their system? It's not only an isolated case. We see even a few people coming out of Mahindra and saying a few things, that there is a groupism, religious groupism happening, and their habits kind of change. Their Friday timings change. The way the timings they eat their food, everything changes according to the convenience. And why is that happening? If it happens in a place of worship, or any other place, it's okay. It's a corporation. It's supposed to be religion neutral. None of it should matter. They are spending crores of rupees promoting the woke agenda, the LGBTQ and everything. And who takes care of all of this? This is also an utmost importance for corporations, right? This is some place where people are not selected based on reservation or any other nonsense. Then why is that happen?
Raghav, you've rightly pointed out about the way systemic failure. It's just not one thing leading to another. On the whole grassroots level, things have gone wrong. That is concern. But in general, when you have such big corporation, they do have some policies where you need to respect each other's space. You need to respect each one another. You do not discriminate against any caste, creed, or sex, or their beliefs. All of that. So that's the core thing which makes the corporation uh, just focus on work and leave the rest to other things. So that's how it has been. But we also need to address a very, very important thing here, because if you look at this case, people who have been involved, they are young girls, young adults who are from very small villages around. They have been coming to this place. One good thing about corporate sector is it does not matter you're coming from a big city or a small one. You've been paid as per the level you join. The salary is attractive, things are okay. So when you have people who don't know that they can voice out, that is a problem. When you're not aware of your rights, people should be aware of their rights. People have redressal mechanism across, which is clearly it is a failure in this particular case, but there are mechanisms. So we should really wait for the results for the court rulings to make us understand what has gone wrong at what level. Like you mentioned very clearly, like there was a system, they have reported to a certain committee, POSH committee, and the culprit was inside the POSH committee. Then what? So these are the questions which we do not have answers as of now, but we really need to start thinking, is it because of one incident? We need to start thinking, why are we in this case? Why can't we just be proactive and try to understand, put everything in a nutshell? It cannot be like your salary is delayed or you do not get your promotion because you don't comply the way your team lead wants you to be. None of this should be part of our discussion in modern India, at least. We are focusing something in a progressive way, but things of this sort makes us really, really regressive. I don't think we are going the right step if we do not address what has actually gone wrong.
This POSH it needs to be updated based on what has happened. So this is a must. They have to include the communal conversion angle to it. It has still not yet been proven, but we know that's the thing. Although we are not talking about it explicitly, the prevention of sexual harassment should be renamed, or there has to be an annexure to it. Prevention of communal conversion, so that has to be there. And first of all, it should be banned inside corporations. That's not a place where you carry out all this nonsense. That's number one. And yeah, this has been going on for quite a few years, which means what was the management doing? If a particular team carries it out, How were they able to suppress this from the management, from the top level? That is one small TCS BPO. I think BPO is a call center, from what I understand. So that's just one small unit of the whole universe that TCS is. So how were they able to run a mafia inside the largest organization without anybody else knowing, without the mother company knowing about it? And because TCS represents India at some level, so that's why this outrage values even more. They were also part of the Air India crash. Air India is still part of Tata companies, right? And we still don't have any clear picture on who is responsible for that. They're trying to blame the pilot in some way. We don't have the answer for something that happened almost a year ago, one of the biggest crashes in the aviation industry. And now the National Intelligence Agency is also involved in this. Anti-terrorism squad is involved in this. So I think they are checking the terrorism angle to it as well. So this case, because the police has taken action, we have come to know about it. What about the other corporations? Who is going to talk about all of this? Who's going to bring all of this out?
Raghav, you're very correct. But we also need to understand these giants, they do have a big legal system who vet each and every speech they give out, any statement they give out, it's all vetted and it is in compliance. They do not infer anything from that. So that sort of becomes very difficult for cases to be unfurled and it takes a lot of time. Now, what is really worrisome is that it should not become a selective outrage. It should not be labeled as something which is not. That is what we, as we rightly discussed from the beginning, we've been trying to say the same thing. It cannot be branded as just another misfortune or just another angle to it and just be silenced. This is something I'm really worried about because it has happened in the past. It is not unusual, but we really need to make sense of it. It cannot be because it is sensational, people are talking about it, and you get another sensational news and then you move on. It cannot be that easy. I hope people do understand this.
If you have noticed, the so-called seculars and pseudo-seculars dramatic silence on this issue. For see, Kerala Story 1, Kerala Story 2, Durandar 1 and 2, Kashmir Files, Bengal Files, Chava, and whatnot. All of them are branded as propaganda. And I think we are just 2 months away from this case also being termed as propaganda. But anyway, see, we need to understand they were they were all met with immediate public outrage. The open ended discussions, panel discussions, it was all debated in the media, petitions, all of this happened, no, but not after any convictions or no investigations, often on the basis of just anticipated impact. See, all of this outrage happened on just a premise that something might happen. And for that, such a narrative was built on. Here, in this Nashik case, for example, there's FIRs, arrests are there, agencies are probing, the terrorism squad is involved, National Intelligence Agency is involved. Something big is happening. POSH compliance, which is one of the most important things for a corporation, that is under the scanner. And still, many of the loudest moral voices are absent. And there's no critique, there's no counter analysis, silence, and that silence doesn't feel neutral. Silence comes from a position here. So some agenda driven, this is the question I want to ask them. Why are they not growing a spine in this case? So the double standards must be called out, because this inconsistency cannot be explained in any other way. If just an anticipation is enough to provoke an outrage in one case, then documented allegations and investigations cannot justify silence in another. This is not about religion versus secularism or who is permitted to speak or nothing of that sort. Outrage in this country often happens to be curated. That is not consistent.
Very powerful sentence to end our discussion. I don't think we've come to any conclusion. We cannot. It is a matter which has to be investigated, which has to really see its light, and there's lots to discuss. But this is a start, and I'm so happy Maharashtra government has taken cognizant of this particular matter. It's just matter of time. The entire India is going to revisit how best we can prevent such occurrences. And again, we've got a lot of friends across religion. It is not that we are against some section of the society. That's not our goal. It is a raging topic. It is really, really disgusting that some of them have suffered. That is what we want to bring it out. And all of you have your own opinions, and this is just matter of time. You start being a proper human. Just be a good human being. Respect one another. This is all we are trying to make you think, and that's the thing we want to end it at. Raghav, over to you.
Yeah, whatever the court finds in this, or whatever the investigators, come to a conclusion. One failure is already undeniable. The system did not act until the HR was replaced. So that is there for everyone to see. No ideology is required for that to be unacceptable. Because this case is not just about an individual or a religion or one office. It is about how institutions respond to early discomfort, how silence protects the powerful, why accountability arrives always late. These are some of the questions. Yes, the courts will determine guilt at some point. It could take few years. Knowing our judiciary, everything happens slowly. Surely it will happen, but we need to ask a very simple question. Why did it take police action for a workplace to become safe? Yes, we can keep talking endlessly about the religious angle in it, but I don't think that's going to make any difference, because when there is an agenda behind it, that's going to keep happening. It's up to us to raise the bar, raise the standards, understand what's happening around us rather than being a blind person, talking only when some narrative suits your perspective happens, and keeping quiet when the opposite happens. If we continue living like that, we become easy target for individuals or organizations with a larger agenda. And we'll talk about it sometime, surely, but let's leave it as it is.
Thank you, Raghav.
Thank you.